Have you ever felt it? That subtle shift in a room when you speak. A quiet, almost imperceptible change in the way someone looks at you, a flicker of doubt in their eyes, a hesitation in their reply. It's a feeling that something is amiss, that the foundation of respect you thought you stood upon has somehow, without your knowledge, begun to crack. You haven't committed a great crime, you haven't betrayed a sacred trust, and yet, you sense a silent withdrawal, a loss of gravity in your own presence. We often believe that respect is lost in grand, dramatic moments, in loud arguments, broken promises, or public failures. But the Stoics, those ancient masters of the human soul, knew a deeper truth. Respect is rarely destroyed in an earthquake, it is eroded, grain by grain, by the quiet, persistent winds of our daily habits. These habits are so common, so deeply ingrained in our modern culture, that we perform them without a second thought, unaware that with each repetition, we are chipping away at our own character, weakening the very core of our being. The philosopher Emperor Marcus Aurelius once wrote to himself, not in a grand decree, but in the quiet solitude of his personal journal, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This is the heart of our journey today. This is not about crafting a more appealing mask to wear for the world. It is about the painstaking, often silent, work of forging a character so solid, so rooted in virtue, that respect becomes its natural echo. It is about understanding that the respect you receive from others is merely a reflection of the respect you have for yourself, a respect demonstrated not by words, but by the discipline of your actions. In this video, we will not offer you quick fixes or social hacks. Instead, we will embark on a journey of profound self-examination. We will illuminate 7 of the most corrosive habits that instantly cause others to disrespect you, not because they are malicious, but because these habits signal a mind that is not yet its own master. They reveal an inner world in turmoil, a spirit dependent on external validation, and a character that bends to the whims of emotion and impulse. We will explore why these habits, from the seemingly harmless act of gossiping to the subtle poison of passive aggression, from the chronic lateness that screams disrespect to the constant complaining that drains the very life from a room, are not just social missteps, but profound spiritual failures. And for each, we will turn to the timeless wisdom of Stoicism to find the antidote. We will learn to replace these weaknesses with the pillars of Stoic virtue, the wisdom to know ourselves, the justice to treat others with fairness, the courage to be honest, and the temperance to control our own impulses. So, find a quiet space. Let the noise of the world fall away for a time. This is your opportunity to look inward, to identify the invisible currents that have been shaping your life, and to begin the deliberate, powerful work of reclaiming your mind. This is your chance to stop the silent erosion and to build, from this day forward, a fortress of character that no external judgment can ever shake. Habit 1, the poison of the idle tongue, the habit of gossiping. There is a currency that flows freely in offices, in social gatherings, and in the private messages we send. It requires no effort to mint, feels thrilling to spend, and for a fleeting moment, makes us feel richer, more included, more in the know. This currency is gossip. It is the practice of speaking about others who are not present, dissecting their flaws, speculating on their motives, and sharing stories that are not ours to tell. It feels like a harmless pastime, a way to bond, but it is, in fact, a slow-acting poison that corrodes the soul of the speaker more than the reputation of the subject. When you engage in gossip, you may believe you are simply sharing information. You may even justify it as a form of social analysis or a warning to others. But listen closely to the silent message you are broadcasting. To the person listening, you are demonstrating that you cannot be trusted. The unspoken thought in their mind is chillingly clear: if they speak of others this way to me, how do they speak of me to others? In that single moment, you trade a lifetime of potential trust for a fleeting spark of shared secrecy. You are revealing that your loyalty is conditional, your integrity is situational, and your words are not anchored in virtue. The Stoic philosopher Seneca warned of the dangers of an undisciplined tongue. He understood that our words are a direct outflow of our inner state. A mind that is calm, ordered, and focused on its own improvement has little time or inclination to occupy itself with the affairs of others. He wrote, "It is a rough road that leads to the heights of greatness." Gossip is the opposite. It is the smooth, easy, downward-sloping path. It is the shortcut to a hollow sense of superiority, a way to feel better about our own lives by diminishing the lives of others. It requires no courage, no wisdom, no self-reflection. It only requires a mouth and an audience. Consider the psychology at play. Why do we gossip? Often, it stems from a deep-seated insecurity. We magnify the flaws in others to minimize the perceived flaws in ourselves. It can be a misguided attempt to forge a connection, creating a temporary, us-against-them, bond. But this bond is fragile, built not on mutual respect, but on mutual judgment. It is a house of cards, ready to collapse the moment the wind changes direction. Imagine a manager, let's call him David, who frequently shares confidential tidbits about underperforming colleagues with his favorite team members. In the short term, those team members feel special, included in an inner circle. But what is the long-term effect? They learn that David's praise is not to be trusted and his confidence is not sacred. They will work with a constant, low-level anxiety, always wondering when they will become the subject of the next private conversation. He thinks he is building loyalty, but he is actually planting seeds of fear and distrust. His leadership is compromised not by a single major failure, but by 100 small verbal indiscretions. The Stoic antidote to the poison of gossip is not a vow of absolute silence, but the practice of purposeful speech. It is the discipline of asking yourself 3 simple questions before you speak about another person. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? If a statement fails even one of these tests, a Stoic would choose the path of dignified silence. This practice is a form of mental hygiene. Just as you would not consume spoiled food, you must not consume or spread toxic information. Furthermore, the Stoics teach us the profound importance of the dichotomy of control, the practice of distinguishing between what is within our power and what is not. The actions, choices, and character of another person are fundamentally outside of our control. To spend our precious mental and emotional energy dissecting them is, therefore, an act of supreme folly. It is a distraction from the one thing we can control, our own thoughts, our own judgments, and our own actions. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to turn his gaze inward. Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. When your inner world is a place of focus and self-improvement, the dramas of the outer world lose their appeal. How do we begin to train this discipline? Start with a conscious commitment. For the next 7 days, make it your primary practice to refrain from speaking negatively about anyone who is not present. When a conversation veers into gossip, you have several powerful, yet subtle, options. You can gently change the subject. That's an interesting perspective. On a related note, has anyone seen the latest report on the project? Or, you can offer a quiet, non-committal response that gives the gossip no fuel to burn. A simple, "I see," or, "That sounds complicated," can be enough to extinguish the flame. For a more direct approach, you can state your principle with calm integrity: "I try to avoid speculating, as I'd hate for others to do the same about me." At the end of each day, take a moment for a journaling exercise. Ask yourself, did my words today build or diminish? Did I focus on my own path or did I get lost in the paths of others? Did I speak with purpose, or did I fill the air with noise? This is not an exercise in self-flagellation, but in honest self-assessment. It is how a warrior sharpens their blade. The person who masters their tongue masters one of the most powerful forces in their life. They become a sanctuary of trust in a world of whispers. People are drawn to them, not for the latest drama, but for their steady presence and their reliable wisdom. Their silence is more respected than the loud opinions of others. They don't need to announce their integrity, their restraint speaks for itself. This is the first, and perhaps most crucial, step in building a character that commands respect. For in the quiet discipline of the tongue, the strength of the soul is revealed. Habit 2, the shadow of resentment, the habit of passive aggression. There is a form of conflict that is never declared, a war waged in the shadows of silence and implication. It is a quiet poison that seeps into the foundations of relationships, leaving them hollow and unstable. This is the realm of passive aggression. It is the "I'm fine" that is delivered with a tone of icy disappointment. It is the sarcastic compliment that carries a hidden sting. It is the silent treatment, a weapon of emotional withdrawal designed to punish without ever having to state the grievance. It is, at its core, a profound act of cowardice, and it is one of the quickest ways to lose respect. Passive aggression masquerades as a way to avoid conflict. We tell ourselves we are keeping the peace or not wanting to make a big deal out of it. But in reality, we are doing the opposite. We are refusing to engage in honest, direct communication, and in doing so, we are creating a far more toxic and confusing form of conflict. It leaves the other person guessing, anxious, and walking on eggshells. They can sense the anger, the resentment, the disappointment, but they are given no clear path to resolution. This is not peace, it is a cold war of the soul. The Stoics champion virtue, and courage is one of its 4 pillars. Passive aggression is a failure of courage. It is the fear of vulnerability, the fear of rejection, the fear of an honest conversation that might be uncomfortable. Epictetus taught that we should present our thoughts to others with clarity and honesty, for a life lived in a fog of unspoken resentments is no life at all. He stated, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When you choose passive aggression, you are choosing a reaction rooted in fear and manipulation, rather than a response rooted in courage and clarity. Think of a friendship between 2 people, let's call them Anna and Maria. Anna feels that Maria has been distant lately, canceling plans and not returning calls promptly. Instead of addressing this directly, Anna begins to employ passive-aggressive tactics. She posts cryptic quotes on social media about fair-weather friends. When Maria finally calls, Anna's responses are short, clipped, and punctuated with heavy sighs. She says, "No, it's fine, I've just been busy anyway," in a tone that clearly means the opposite. What is the result? Maria is left confused and hurt. She knows something is wrong, but she doesn't know what. She may try to guess, but her guesses could be wrong, leading to further misunderstanding. Over time, the warmth in their friendship is replaced by a chilly tension. Anna, by refusing to be direct, has not avoided a fight, she has started a slow, agonizing process of emotional decay. She has shown Maria that she cannot be trusted to be honest about her feelings, and that lack of trust is the death of respect. The root of passive aggression often lies in a flawed perception of conflict. We see it as a battle to be won or lost. But a Stoic sees honest conflict as an opportunity for growth and understanding. It is a chance to clarify expectations, to express hurt in a constructive way, and to strengthen a bond through the courageous act of being vulnerable. To refuse this opportunity is to choose stagnation and resentment over growth and connection. The antidote, then, is the practice of direct, yet compassionate, communication. This is not a license to be brutal or to unload your emotions without filter. It is the art of speaking your truth with respect for the other person. It is using "I" statements instead of "you" statements. Instead of a sarcastic, "Wow, must be nice to have so much free time," a direct approach would be, "I felt hurt and unimportant when our plans were cancelled last minute. Can we talk about what happened?" Notice the shift. The first statement is an attack, designed to induce guilt. The second is an expression of personal feeling, an invitation to a conversation. The first erodes respect, the second builds it. To cultivate this habit, you must first become an observer of your own behavior. When you feel the urge to resort to a passive-aggressive tactic, pause. Ask yourself, what am I truly feeling right now? What is the fear that is preventing me from being direct? Acknowledge the fear. Perhaps you are afraid of their anger, or afraid of hearing a truth you don't want to hear. Thank the fear for trying to protect you, and then choose to act with courage anyway. A practical exercise is to script your difficult conversations. Before approaching someone, write down exactly what you want to say. Refine it until it is clear, non-accusatory, and focused on your own feelings and needs. For example, instead of the silent treatment, I need some space to process my feelings right now. Can we talk about this tomorrow at 6 p.m.? Instead of a sarcastic remark, when you said that, I felt dismissed. It's important to me that my contributions are acknowledged. Instead of forgetting to do something for them, I'm feeling overwhelmed and won't be able to help with that right now. I'm sorry. This practice is not easy. It requires you to step out from behind the comfortable shield of implication and into the open field of honesty. But with each direct conversation, you build your muscle of courage. You teach others that you are a person of integrity, someone who respects them enough to be honest, and who respects yourself enough to honor your own feelings. People do not respect those who play mind games. They may fear them, they may tolerate them, but they do not respect them. Respect is reserved for those who have the strength to be clear, the composure to be kind, and the courage to be vulnerable. As you shed the habit of passive aggression, you will find your relationships becoming cleaner, deeper, and more resilient. You will walk through the world not as a manipulator of shadows, but as a bearer of light. Habit 3. The abdication of ownership, the habit of shifting blame. There are few habits that dismantle respect as swiftly and completely as the refusal to take responsibility. It is the reflex to point a finger when something goes wrong, the immediate search for an external cause, a scapegoat, to absorb the impact of failure. It is the employee who blames the unclear instructions, the student who blames the unfair test, the partner who blames their mood on a stressful day. It is the constant, subtle, and sometimes unconscious abdication of personal power. When you make excuses or shift blame, you are sending a clear and devastating message to the world and to yourself: I am not in control of my own life. I am a victim of circumstances, a pawn moved by external forces. While it may offer a fleeting moment of relief from the discomfort of accountability, this habit comes at a terrible long-term cost. It erodes your credibility, destroys trust, and quietly convinces you of your own helplessness. People stop relying on you, because they learn that your word is conditional and your commitment is fragile. Epictetus, a man who was born a slave and rose to become one of the most revered Stoic philosophers, understood the concept of ownership better than anyone. He taught a radical form of responsibility. He said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is the cornerstone of Stoic strength. Life will inevitably present you with challenges, unfairness, and obstacles. You will make mistakes. You will fail. These things are guaranteed. The only variable in the equation is you. Your response is the one thing you have absolute power over. To give that power away by blaming something or someone else is the ultimate act of self-betrayal. Consider the story of Jocko Willink, a former U.S. Navy SEAL commander. During a brutal combat operation in Ramadi, Iraq, a tragic friendly fire incident occurred due to miscommunication and the chaos of battle. When the investigation began, there were a multitude of factors that could have been blamed: faulty intelligence, the complexity of the urban environment, the actions of other soldiers. As the commanding officer, Willink could have pointed to any of these. Instead, when his superiors demanded to know who was to blame, he stood before them and said, with no hesitation, "I am. The blame is on me." That moment of what he calls extreme ownership did not end his career, it defined it. His superiors were stunned. His team's trust in him solidified into something unbreakable. By taking full responsibility, even for factors outside his direct control, he demonstrated the highest form of leadership and integrity. He showed that he was not a victim, but the master of his domain. This is the Stoic ideal in action. A true leader, a truly respected individual, absorbs responsibility. They do not deflect it. Now, contrast this with a more common scenario. An employee, let's call him Tom, misses a critical deadline. When his manager confronts him, Tom's response is a litany of excuses: the IT department was slow to respond, Sarah from marketing didn't get me the data on time, and I had too many other meetings. While these factors may have been real, the subtext is clear: it wasn't my fault. The manager hears this not as an explanation, but as a refusal to own the outcome. Respect for Tom diminishes. He is seen not as a problem solver, but as a problem reporter. To break this corrosive habit, you must cultivate a new reflex, the reflex of ownership. When faced with a failure or a mistake, your first question should not be, whose fault was it, but rather, what was my role in this, and what can I do to fix it or learn from it? This requires immense courage. It is uncomfortable to admit fault. The ego recoils from it. But with each act of ownership, you are performing a powerful spiritual exercise. You are reinforcing the belief in your own agency. You are telling yourself, I am responsible. Therefore, I have the power to change. Here is a practical framework for cultivating this habit. The immediate pause, the moment something goes wrong, resist the urge to speak immediately. That first impulse is often the defensive one. Take a breath. Internal inquiry, ask yourself the hard questions in silence. What could I have done differently? Did I prepare adequately? Did I communicate clearly? Did I anticipate potential problems? Even if you were only 1% responsible, own that 1% completely. The ownership statement: when you do speak, lead with ownership. I take full responsibility for this, or I dropped the ball on this, or I should have managed this better. This is not a statement of weakness, it is a statement of immense strength. It immediately disarms defensiveness in others and shifts the focus from blame to solutions. The action plan: follow your ownership statement with a plan. Here is what I am going to do to make it right, and here is the system I will put in place to ensure this doesn't happen again. The person who consistently makes excuses lives in a world of powerlessness. But the person who consistently takes ownership becomes a force of nature. They are trusted, they are relied upon, and they are deeply respected. They are seen as the calm center in a storm, the one who does not panic or point fingers, but who calmly assesses the situation and takes command. So, ask yourself, what are the excuses you tell yourself? What are the recurring blame patterns in your life? Be brutally honest. Write them down. And then, next to each one, write an ownership statement. This is not just an exercise in semantics. It is the beginning of reprogramming your mind. It is the moment you stop being a passenger in your own life and take your rightful place at the helm. Habit 4, the neglected temple, the habit of poor personal hygiene. It may seem superficial, a trivial detail in the grand scheme of character and virtue. But the state of your personal hygiene is a silent, powerful billboard that broadcasts a message to the world long before you ever utter a word. Wrinkled clothes, unkempt hair, persistent body odor, or neglected grooming, these are not just aesthetic oversights. They are often perceived as outward manifestations of inner chaos, a lack of discipline, and most fundamentally, a lack of self-respect. And if you do not respect yourself, how can you expect others to? The Stoics believed in the deep connection between the mind, psyche, and the body, soma. They understood that a disciplined life was a holistic one. While they cautioned against vanity and the obsessive pursuit of external beauty, they also recognized that caring for one's body was a fundamental duty. Marcus Aurelius spoke of the soul being dyed with the color of its thoughts. In a similar vein, your outward presentation is often dyed with the color of your inner discipline. A neglected body can suggest a neglected mind. This is not about conforming to societal standards of beauty or wealth. A person can wear simple, inexpensive clothes and still appear put together and clean. This is about the basic, non-negotiable standards of self-care that signal to others, and to yourself, that you are worthy of care. When you show up to a meeting, a date, or even just a family dinner looking disheveled, you are non-verbally communicating, this occasion, and the people present, were not important enough for me to make a basic effort. It is a subtle but profound form of disrespect. Think about the psychological impact this has, not just on others, but on you. The act of grooming, showering, putting on clean clothes, styling your hair, is a ritual. It is a way of preparing yourself, both physically and mentally, for the day ahead. It is a declaration that you are ready to engage with the world from a place of order, not chaos. When you skip this ritual, when you allow yourself to exist in a state of slovenliness, it can reinforce feelings of lethargy, apathy, and low self-worth. You begin to feel how you look. Consider two candidates interviewing for the same job. Both are equally qualified on paper. The first arrives in a clean, well-fitting, ironed shirt, with neat hair and a general air of being put together. The second arrives in a crumpled shirt, with unkempt hair and a faint but noticeable staleness. Who makes a better first impression? The interviewer may not consciously think, this person has poor hygiene. But they will subconsciously register the signals of carelessness and a lack of preparedness. The second candidate has created an unnecessary obstacle for themselves, a hurdle of negative perception they must now overcome. The Stoic virtue of temperance, or self-control, applies here perfectly. It is the discipline to do the small, necessary things even when you don't feel like it. It is the understanding that our daily routines are the building blocks of our character. Making your bed, keeping your living space tidy, and maintaining your personal hygiene are not chores, they are exercises in self-mastery. They are small, daily victories over laziness and entropy. The solution to this habit is straightforward but requires consistency. It is about creating non-negotiable standards for yourself. Establish a daily ritual, make basic grooming a fixed part of your morning and evening routines. It should be as automatic as brushing your teeth. This is not about vanity, it is about starting and ending your day with an act of self-respect. The 10-foot rule, pay attention to the details that are noticeable from 10 feet away. Are your clothes clean and free of wrinkles? Is your hair reasonably neat? These basics make an enormous difference. Care for your environment. The state of your personal hygiene is often linked to the state of your living space. A tidy room, a clean car, these are extensions of a disciplined mind. Taking care of your environment reinforces the habit of taking care of yourself. View it as fuel, not a chore, reframe your perspective. A shower isn't just about getting clean, it's about resetting your mind. Putting on a clean outfit isn't just about appearance, it's about putting on your armor for the day. See these actions as tools that empower you and increase your energy. Seneca said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." The daily, mundane, trial of overcoming inertia to care for yourself is a form of this polishing. It is the friction that scrapes away apathy and reveals the shine of a disciplined character. People may never tell you directly that your hygiene is an issue. It is a deeply uncomfortable topic. Instead, they will communicate their discomfort in other ways, keeping a slight physical distance, shortening conversations, or subconsciously overlooking you for opportunities. Don't let something so easily within your control become the silent saboteur of your success and relationships. Take pride in your temple. Care for it not to impress others, but as an act of devotion to yourself. This simple, powerful habit will not only change how others see you, it will fundamentally change how you feel about yourself. And that inner feeling of worthiness is the true foundation of respect. Habit 5, the anthem of the powerless, the habit of constant complaining. There is a sound that drains the energy from a room faster than any other. It is not the sound of anger or grief, but the monotonous, soul-sapping drone of the habitual complainer. It is the person who finds fault in every situation, a cloud for every silver lining. The coffee is too hot, the office is too cold, the traffic is unbearable, the project is boring, the praise was insufficient. This is the anthem of the powerless, and it is a habit that makes respect impossible. When you complain constantly, you are not merely expressing dissatisfaction. You are revealing a deep-seated belief that you are a victim. You are positioning yourself as someone to whom life happens, rather than someone who happens to life. This mindset is the absolute antithesis of Stoicism. The Stoics teach that while we cannot control external events, we hold absolute dominion over our interpretation of and response to those events. Complaining is the act of willingly surrendering this power. Seneca addressed this directly, writing, "A man who suffers before it is necessary, suffers more than is necessary. The complainer suffers constantly. They suffer in anticipation of problems, they suffer during the problems, and they suffer long after by reliving the problems through their grievances. Their negativity is not just a report on their inner state, it is a contagious force that poisons the atmosphere for everyone around them. Initially, friends or colleagues might offer sympathy. But over time, that sympathy curdles into fatigue, and then into avoidance. People begin to dread interacting with the complainer. They know that any conversation will inevitably be dragged into a vortex of negativity. The complainer is seen not as a peer to be respected, but as an emotional black hole, a project to be managed, or a problem to be avoided. Think about the neurology of this habit. Each time you complain, you are reinforcing a neural pathway in your brain. You are training your mind to scan for the negative, to highlight the flaw, to focus on the lack. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you complain about how bad things are, the more bad things you will find to complain about. Your reality begins to conform to your narrative. The Stoic antidote to this is a twofold practice: the acceptance of what you cannot change, amor fati, and the focused action on what you can. Amor fati, the love of fate, does not mean you have to be happy about misfortune. It means you accept the unchangeable realities of life, the traffic, the weather, the difficult colleague, as necessary parts of the fabric of existence. To rail against them is as futile as yelling at the rain to stop. A Stoic accepts reality as it is, without wasting an ounce of energy on wishing it were different. This acceptance is not passive, it is a powerful act of conserving energy for what truly matters. For the things you can change, the Stoic replaces complaint with action. Complaint: my boss is so disorganized, I can never get what I need from him. Stoic action: I will create a system of clear, documented requests and scheduled follow-ups to manage my interactions with my boss more effectively. Complaint: I'm so out of shape, I hate how I feel. Stoic action: I will go for a 10-minute walk today. That is a start. Complaint: this relationship is making me miserable. Stoic action: I will initiate a direct, honest conversation about my feelings and needs, or I will make a plan to leave. Notice the radical shift in power. The complainer is a passenger. The person of action is the pilot. A powerful exercise to break this habit is the complaint fast. Commit to going 24 hours without uttering a single complaint. Not about the big things, not about the small things. When you catch yourself about to complain, stop. Replace the thought with either a statement of acceptance, it is what it is, or a question of action, what can I do about this? You will likely be shocked at how often you complain without realizing it. It is the background noise of a disempowered mind. Surviving this 24-hour fast will feel like a monumental achievement. It will recalibrate your mind, making you acutely aware of the language you use and the reality it creates. The people we respect most are not those who are immune to problems. They are those who face problems with grace, resilience, and a focus on solutions. They are the calm problem solvers, the steady pillars in a crisis. They do not waste breath on what is wrong, they invest their energy in making things right. As you purge the habit of complaining from your life, you will notice a profound shift. You will feel lighter, more energetic, more in control. And people will notice, too. They will be drawn to your quiet strength, your solution-oriented mindset, and your refusal to be a victim. You will no longer be the person who brings the cloud into the room, you will be the one who reminds others that even behind the clouds, the sun is still shining. Habit 6, the theft of time, the habit of chronic lateness. Time is the one resource that is utterly irreplaceable. We are all given a finite, unknown amount of it. To waste it is a tragedy, to steal it from others is a profound offense. This is the hidden crime of the chronically late. It is a habit often dismissed as a personal quirk, a sign of being overcommitted or a free spirit. But make no mistake, habitual lateness is a clear and consistent statement of disrespect. It broadcasts a single, arrogant message: my time is more valuable than yours. Every time you keep someone waiting, you are not just making them idle for a few minutes. You are asserting a hierarchy in which your needs, your schedule, and your priorities supersede theirs. You are, in effect, forcing them to sacrifice a portion of their life, their finite, precious time, for your lack of planning or discipline. This is a debt that can never be repaid, and it is an act that makes genuine respect impossible. Seneca, in his writings, On the Shortness of Life, was ruthless on this point. He lamented how freely we give away our time, the only possession we can never reclaim. He wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." While he was speaking of wasting one's own life, the principle applies with even greater force to the wasting of others' lives. The chronically late person is a thief of the highest order, stealing the very currency of existence from their friends, family, and colleagues. This habit is not just about disrespecting others, it is a symptom of a deeper internal disorganization. It often signals a lack of self-discipline, an inability to realistically assess tasks, or a passive-aggressive need for control. Making others wait can be a subtle power play. Regardless of the root cause, the outcome is the same: a reputation for being unreliable, inconsiderate, and ultimately, unprofessional. Consider the ripple effect of being just 10 minutes late for a team meeting. You don't just waste 10 minutes of your own time. If there are 5 other people in that meeting, you have collectively squandered 50 minutes of company time. But the damage is greater than mere productivity loss. You have broken the flow of the meeting, forced a recap, and communicated to every single person in that room that their punctuality was in vain. How can they respect your ideas when you have shown such blatant disregard for their commitment? The Stoic antidote to this is to treat your commitments as sacred. It is to apply the virtue of justice, fairness and righteousness, to the management of your schedule. It is also a direct application of memento mori, the reflection on mortality. When you are deeply aware that your time and the time of others is limited, you begin to treat it with the reverence it deserves. You would not casually steal money from a friend. Why, then, would you casually steal their time? Breaking the habit of chronic lateness requires a strategic overhaul, not just a promise to try harder. Plan for early, not on time. The mantra, "early is on time is late, and late is unacceptable," is a powerful cognitive tool. Shift your target. If a meeting is at 10 a.m., your personal goal should be to arrive at 9:50 a.m. This buffer absorbs the unexpected delays that life inevitably throws your way. Conduct a time audit. For 1 week, track how long tasks actually take, not how long you think they should take. You will likely discover that you have been systematically underestimating the time needed for travel, preparation, and transitions between tasks. This data is the foundation of a realistic schedule. Prepare the night before. The battle for punctuality is often won or lost the evening before. Lay out your clothes. Pack your bag. Review your schedule. Reducing morning of decisions eliminates a major source of delay and chaos. Respect the hard stop. Learn to end your current activity on time, even if it feels unfinished. The discipline to stop one thing is what enables you to start the next thing on schedule. Your commitment to the next appointment must be stronger than your desire to perfect the current task. The person who is consistently punctual commands a quiet authority. They are seen as reliable, organized, and in control of their own life. Their presence alone signals respect for the shared endeavor. They do not need to announce their discipline, their timeliness is the announcement. If you struggle with this habit, begin to view every appointment not as a casual suggestion, but as an oath. When you say, "I will be there at 2 p.m., you are giving your word. To a Stoic, one's word is a bond, a reflection of their character. To break it over something as manageable as scheduling is to admit a lack of self-mastery. Start today. Make your very next appointment a practice in this newfound discipline. Arrive early. Use the extra moments not to scroll on your phone, but to breathe, to center yourself, to review your purpose for being there. You will walk into that meeting not rushed and apologetic, but calm, prepared, and in command. That is a feeling, and a reputation, that is worth far more than the few extra minutes you might have gained by running late. Habit 7. the illusion of progress, the habit of speaking louder than your actions. In our modern world, awash with social media and the pressure of personal branding, a dangerous illusion has taken hold, the idea that announcing a goal is a step towards achieving it. We declare our intentions with fanfare, a post about starting a new diet, a story about joining the gym, a confident proclamation to friends about the book we are finally going to write. It feels good. We receive encouragement, likes, and a quick hit of validation. But the Stoics would see this for what it is, a trap of the ego, a premature celebration that often sabotages the very outcome we desire. This is the habit of letting your words outrun your actions. It is a form of progress theater, where the performance of striving is mistaken for the act of striving itself. This habit, while seemingly positive, is a subtle and powerful eroder of respect, especially self-respect. Because when the inevitable gap between your grand pronouncements and your inconsistent actions becomes clear, you are left with a reputation for being all talk and no action. A study by psychologist Peter Gollwitzer at New York University confirmed this ancient wisdom. He found that students who publicly announced their intentions were significantly less likely to follow through. The very act of announcing the goal gave their brain a premature sense of completion. The social acknowledgement served as a substitute for the real reward of accomplishment. You trick yourself into feeling like you've already done the hard work, when in reality, you haven't even begun. Seneca saw this flaw clearly in the people around him. He observed those who would talk endlessly of philosophy, of virtue, of the ideal life, but whose daily actions were a direct contradiction. He famously wrote, "Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it." This is a command to let your results be your only spokesman. Your character is not built by the goals you set, but by the work you do in silence when no one is watching. Think of the friend who is a serial entrepreneur in conversation. Every time you meet, they have a new, brilliant idea that is going to change the world. They speak with passion and conviction. But months later, the idea has vanished, replaced by a new one, equally brilliant and equally ephemeral. Initially, you are impressed by their creativity. But over time, you begin to see a pattern. The excitement is in the talking, not the building. Respect wanes, replaced by a polite, weary skepticism. You learn not to take their announcements seriously. The Stoic antidote is to embrace the power of silent work. It is to cultivate the discipline of pushing yourself forward without the need for an audience. It is to find satisfaction in the process itself, not in the anticipated applause. The 90-day silent challenge: pick one significant goal you want to achieve. For the next 90 days, commit to working on it consistently. But make a pact with yourself: you will tell no one. You will not post about it. You will not solicit encouragement. Your progress is a private contract between you and your future self. Focus on the bricks, not the cathedral. Stop fantasizing about the finished product. Focus only on the single, tangible action you can take today. If you want to write a book, don't talk about becoming an author. Just write one page today. If you want to get in shape, don't announce your body transformation. Just do today's workout. As Marcus Aurelius would say, concentrate every minute on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness. Let your results be the reveal. Imagine building a ship inside a locked boathouse. You work day after day, in private, honing your craft. Then, one day, you don't announce that you finished. You simply open the doors and slide the ship into the water. The vessel itself is the statement. Let your success be its own announcement. The person who quietly loses 30 pounds over 6 months commands far more respect than the person who posts about their diet every single day. The first demonstrates discipline, the second, a need for validation. Pushing yourself in silence is one of the most difficult and rewarding practices you can undertake. It is lonely. There will be days when your motivation flags and there is no one there to cheer you on. It is in these very moments that true character is forged. You learn to be your own source of motivation. You learn that the approval that matters most is your own. This is the path of the quiet professional, the silent artist, the unknown warrior. They are not defined by what they say they will do, but by what they have already done. Their silence is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of focus. It is the quiet hum of a powerful engine at work. So, choose your path. Will you be the one who talks about the mountains you will climb, or the one who simply puts on their boots and begins the ascent, one steady, silent step at a time? Let your actions speak so loudly that your words become unnecessary. That is the ultimate form of respect. We have journeyed together through the shadows of our own behavior, illuminating the 7 subtle habits that weaken the soul and erode respect. We have seen that gossip is the currency of the insecure, that passive aggression is the language of fear, and that shifting blame is the abdication of our own power. We have recognized that our physical presence is a reflection of our inner discipline, that complaining is the anthem of the powerless, and that chronic lateness is a theft of the most precious resource we have. Finally, we have understood that our actions must speak louder than our words. These are not 7 disparate flaws. They are 7 heads of the same hydra, a mind not yet mastered, a spirit focused on externals, a character not yet grounded in the Stoic virtues. The path forward is not to wage a frantic war against these habits, but to begin the quiet, consistent work of cultivating their opposites. Replace gossip with purposeful speech. Replace passive aggression with courageous honesty. Replace blame with radical ownership. Replace neglect with self-respect. Replace complaining with acceptance and action. Replace tardiness with reverence for time. And replace empty announcements with silent, diligent work. This is the Stoic path. It is not a path for the faint of heart. It is a path of discipline, of self-examination, and of unwavering commitment to being better today than you were yesterday. It does not promise a life free from difficulty, but it promises a life in which you are the master of your response to that difficulty. It promises a life of inner freedom, a peace that cannot be disturbed by the chaos of the world or the judgment of others. The respect you seek is not a prize to be won. It is the natural consequence of a life lived with integrity. It is the echo of a character forged in the fires of daily discipline. You have the philosophy. You have the tools. The work begins now, in the very next choice you make. If this journey of self-mastery resonates with you, and you are ready to continue walking this path, we invite you to become part of the BAudio community. Subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into Stoic wisdom for modern life. If this video has offered you a moment of clarity or a spark of motivation, please like the video. It helps us reach more people who, like you, are seeking to live with greater purpose and strength. And now, we turn the conversation over to you. In the comments below, share which of these 7 habits you will commit to changing, starting today. Your declaration is not for us, but for you. It is your first act of ownership. Let us learn from and support one another on this shared path. Thank you for investing your time with us. The work is not over. It has just begun.